Many managers think about their role as managers and wonder whether they can add to that role by developing their coaching ability. And in this session, we're going to have a think about the role of manager as a coach, explore some of the benefits for the managers in taking on more of a coaching role, and think about how an HR department might build that into their own offering in terms of supporting their own managers in terms of developing capacity in this area. First thing to think about is, well, what is the difference between being a manager and being a coach? My take on it is that by and large, coaching is a skill that managers can and should develop within their roles. So I don't see it as being a completely separate issue, but it is something that managers don't necessarily do within their day-to-day activities. Putting it crudely, management might be more about task and telling people what to do, whereas coaching is more about people, development, asking questions and listening to help people grow and develop within their roles. Coaching is also about empowering and encouraging people to grow and develop, much more so than perhaps pure management, which is much more focused on achieving targets and outputs. Finally, just a word of warning, don't try and use coaching as an added fix for problem people or problem issues. It's not really the best way of approaching those types of situations. Coaching isn't a quick fix for a problem, it's a longer term solution to developing people within the organisation. So, how can a manager act more like a coach? We'll explore some of these issues in more detail, but first of all, let's go through some of the key points. Firstly, focus on listening and asking questions. Secondly, think about meeting the employee at the employee's workplace rather than calling them into an office. When you're in a conversation with your employee, think about your responsibility to guide and structure that conversation. One technique for doing that is to use the GROW model, which basically is looking at, first of all, setting goals, exploring reality of situations, developing a set of options, and then buying commitment through what will people do. Using the GROW model as a guide can help structure and manage those conversations more effectively. Finally, be aware of your role in working with the employee who's undertaking a coaching journey. You do need to have some understanding that you might find out issues which might be challenging for you. It'd certainly be more of an emotional journey than you might be used to when managing people directly, and you'll almost certainly have some responsibilities for ensuring people are set proper targets and proper directions for moving forward. Thinking about yourself as a manager, how can you have effective coaching conversations? Well, going back to the ideas around the GROW model we talked about earlier, the first aspect is to really find out what it is the person wants to work on, what it is they want to change, and to explore that. The way we explore those goals is by asking questions. And the most effective questions are the open-ended questions using the word what rather than why. The thinking on that is that when we ask people why something is the case, they often tend to get defensive, whereas when we use the what question, it encourages people to open up and share their thoughts more freely. Some examples of effective open questions include: what would you like to happen next? What would you like to be different? What would success look like in this particular situation? What are your strengths? What could you do? What will you do? All of the questions getting people to open up and think much more using the what approach. The other key skill that you'll need to use as a manager is listen and probe. By listening, talking more than just having your ears capturing the key elements that the person's talking about, but really thinking about what they're saying and what they mean. So you might need to be conscious of things like body language as you're listening. Be aware of how we listen. Studies suggest that our brains work at approximately twice the pace of our ears. What that means in practice is that while we're trying to listen, we can think about an awful lot of other things, such as what we're going to have for dinner tonight. One approach and one technique I use to help me focus in on listening is the repeating phrase. So each word that I hear the other person say, I repeat in my brain, and it helps me focus in on what they're really saying. You might think I haven't got the time to do that while I'm listening, but the truth is you have, because your brain is working at twice the pace of your ears. So when to coach and when to manage? An example might help. If you were working in a hospital and you had a responsibility for cardiac resuscitation, if you had a patient who suddenly keeled over, what I would be looking for is people to act as managers, to be directive to the task, to make sure the critical issue of saving that patient's life is the only thing and the main thing on everybody's mind. Coaching may come in, but not at that critical stage. It comes in after the event when we're looking to learn and we're looking to develop and we're looking to change the way we're doing things. So we want to use the management approach for critical task-focused issues. But when we're looking to develop people and for people to grow and change, coaching is a much more effective approach. There are a number of benefits of the coaching style approach. Firstly, it helps build capacity of your team. Secondly, as a leader, it increases your ability to lead, influence and persuade people by understanding them that much better. And finally, as an organisation, studies suggest that there's a 21% positive impact on productivity through investing in a coaching culture. So what can we do at Solo to help you with this issue? Well, first of all, we can help introduce a coaching type culture into your organisation. Secondly, we can work with you on the skills you need to become an effective coach. And thirdly, we also offer one-to-one expert coaching for individuals and managers looking to grow and develop within their roles.